I'm here to tell everyone, I find no shame in saying what I'm about to say. Because I feel like there's a sentiment that there should be shame associated with this. I, Rich Davis, am fully on board the Coach Prime bandwagon.
Same.
I am so on board.
Same.
I don't. I hear other hosts even. I mean, I'm not offended, but
our buddy Godfrey, the comedian,
Yeah.
comedian Godfrey, Chicago comedian. He was like, I never cared at all about college football, and I have no shame in admitting I am front. He was wearing a T-shirt, sunglasses. He was so into it. He's like, I don't care at all. I'm front running. I think that's how a lot of people feel, man. I'm all for. You know why though? Here's why. It makes sense because we've always been fans of Deion Sanders. Right? We watched his whole career. So if you were a kid of the 80s, 90s, and you admired his swag and his way about him, then of course you're going to admire what he's doing as a coach.
And I think our buddy Mike in Cincinnati hit us up at COVINO Rich, and he said, anyone that's a little taken aback by how Coach Prime is, confident and cocky in the way he is, I'm like, did they miss the 90s?
Exactly.
Did they miss primetime Deion Sanders? Did they miss the end zone dancing? Did they miss the post-game speeches about how no one could, he could guard anyone, and how even though he wasn't on the Falcons anymore, remember that? He's like, yeah, this is still my home.
Of course.
Also, too, if you're not a fan of college football, which a lot of NFL fans are not, but you are a fan of football, you can adopt this team as your own because it's getting so much attention because of Deion.
I mean,
and it's
listen,
a fun story. Whatever pulls you in sometimes.
I look at it this way.
It's not taking away my Terp pride, though.
We are, we're all sports fans.
Fear the Turtle, Ramos.
But unless Fear the Turtle, is that what it is?
Yeah. Buffalo.
Scary. If you're a sports fan, you can't. I mean, unless you're a fanatic, and then I can't imagine you ever touching a woman in your life. If you follow every single sport on planet Earth,
what's your excuse?
Like to the T, then I mean, what do you have time for? Not everyone's gonna hit everything. Not everyone's gonna be like, yeah, I'm really up on tennis, golf, basketball, football, baseball, college football, gymnastics, rugby. Oh, I watch European soccer at 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning. You can't be into everything. And if you are, again, you probably have no balance in your life. But college football is something I would always watch casually, and I'd watch the big games just to be in the loop. I'd watch the ranked teams on Saturday. I would always have it on, but you're watching programs, as we pointed out. You're not watching players as much. You're watching Heisman candidates and good players, but they cycle through very quickly. You're watching programs and rivalries, and that's the fun of college. But when Coach Prime takes a team that no one really talked about ever, do you remember anyone ever talking about Colorado?
My cousin Anthony, the only fan I ever knew. Swear to God.
You get a shirt at what do you buy? Like a
I don't know
Colorado
why.
shirt at
He
Caldor back in
always
the day?
liked them, and now it's paying off, I guess.
Unless
all these years later.
Unless you went there. I mean, we're speaking a little bit as East Coast guys that come from New York, where college sports aren't a big thing at all because you have 10 pro sports teams in the tri-state area. But out here, I see a lot of USC love, a lot of UCLA love. I get it. But to blame anyone for really enjoying Deion Sanders, it's like when a fighter, like Mike Tyson, getting people really interested in boxing in the 80s. There might have been casual boxing fans that are like, well, I can't miss a Tyson fight. That was great for boxing. So anyone that's hating on the Deion Sanders bandwagoners, he's just bringing more love to the sport you love.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I would have watched maybe one or two college games Saturday. I wouldn't have watched that Saturday night Colorado State game if it wasn't prime time.
Past midnight to watch that game.
No, if you're on the East Coast, you're not watching Colorado State on a Saturday night. The game ends at 2 a.m. If it's not Coach Prime and making beef with the other coach
but that's
and everything.
What makes it great, Rich.
So I'm fine admitting I'm on the Coach Prime bandwagon.
I'm with you, and there's millions of other people with you. And I think, bro, I feel like I can't believe what I saw. You know how he did that deal with Blenders, the sunglasses? Weekend of passing out sunglasses, giving them to The Rock, rocking them everywhere he went, giving them to the players. I believe Blenders sold $1.2 million worth, but I saw an update today as I was doing the bowl scroll I think it said 4.5 million sold or something like that.
They gave Deion 1.2 million.
All right,
there.
they gave him 1.2, but I saw something about 4.5 million today.
Sold.
And I'm like,
wow.
4.5 million sold. So I'm like, wow, man. Talk about impact.
They're the oversized reflector glasses.
Unbelievable the power of Deion Sanders, man.
You know what I saw? On Saturdays when you watch football games, I don't know if you guys know this, but usually in the point of the game, there's always like a promotion for the college, right? University of Colorado. Yeah. The whole Colorado commercial was everybody, they were talking about like, I'm here for science. Prime science.
That's awesome.
Everybody was
so
at
weak.
the very end. It's a
great.
I'm taking economics. Prime economics.
That's exactly what it was. And I'm like, oh my God, like that's how fast it's just.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, but you want to feel cool about the program you're a part of. You want to feel cool about the guy you're learning from. You want to feel cool about the college you chose to go to. So he's doing all of that for all those students, man. That's really cool.
Dude, when you watch Swamp Kings and you realize what Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow and those players and coaches meant to that city, that town, that campus.
The only difference is, Rich, what affiliation do people have with Urban Meyer? You feel a connection to Deion Sanders because you saw his career.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the only difference, but the same impact.
But I'm saying, like, what Nick Saban in Alabama meant to that community. Yeah. It's huge. I'm not blind to it. I'm just an East Coast guy that didn't get sucked into college football the way I got sucked into NFL football and Major League Baseball and basketball. Just never got sucked into college football the same way. I watched it, but just didn't have the same love. So when I see Coach Prime and I'm like, oh man, here I am on a Saturday night telling my wife, we'll watch a movie after I watch this Colorado State game. There's something to be said. I'm not the only sports fan that's watching Coach Prime and saying this is great for the game. It's great. It's what Jake Paul, to be honest, is doing for young kids that might be watching stupid boxing pay-per-views where you're like, who watches Jake Paul? I'll tell you, millions of people.
It brings eyes to a sport that you love. That's how you have to view it. You can't get mad at the bandwagoner. And
I listen, I want it to be very clear here on Covino and Rich. I'm not a bandwagon fan where I'm not like, I'm rooting for Colorado. I'm just enjoying the story of Coach Prime. They're probably going to get their ass whipped by Oregon this weekend. But remember I said in the beginning of the season, if they could go 3-0 into this week, you're creating a great hype, a game that no one cared about. Now they care about.
So impactful to college football, but impactful as a brand. Deion's Prime 21 shades sold nearly 70K units, $67 each. Again, 4.5 million in sunglasses sold in like a week span. So that's a cool story all around. I'm with Rich on that. When we agree it's fact, it doesn't make you a bandwagoner if it gets you excited. If it gets you excited to watch and tune in.
So Coach Prime,
he spoke out all class today too, saying, hey, look, Blackburn, whether or not it was a clean or dirty hit, he's a good player, and it's a shame about what happened, but doesn't deserve death threats.
Yeah, I think he said death threats is the idea of that is bull junk.
Yeah, it is. It's bull junk. And he's like, I don't condone that, and he doesn't want any of his Colorado fans and his people to be participating in that type of activity. So all around, class act. But it just goes to show you, too, the world we live in where people freely do things like that. It's kind of gross.
I put myself in the most diehard of sports fans mentality, right? I'm the guy that takes a championship loss hard. I've been to the last two 49ers Super Bowls when they lost to the Ravens on such a close game.
Stop going.
To the Chiefs when they were winning 20-10 in the fourth quarter and Tyreek Hill, ruins my dreams. Jimmy G overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders by a yard. Walking out of those stadiums was miserable. There's players I've been like, I hate him in that moment. Remember when Tart dropped the interception for Matthew Stafford?
That's fair. That's fine.
Tart dropped the ball that if he caught...
Dude, but that's it. There's extreme highs and extreme lows in sports.
But
that's understandable.
But imagine being a psychopath
right,
to the degree of threatening the life of a kid playing college football. Check yourself, you damn losers.
Like even Deion Sanders is saying, hey, look, it's not warranted.
And while you're at it, stop fighting at games. While you're at it, stop fighting at games. I just saw the headline that the guy that died in New England got punched in the face by someone else.
Yeah, horrible.
What are you doing?
Horrible. People out of control, man.
Stop fighting at games. It's sports. It's supposed to be enjoyable. You could take a loss hard. I do. You could cheer at a victory. We all do.
You know, it was weird because after the pandemic, you remember that whole nightmare we went through for 2+ years? Huh? Remember that whole thing that we tried to forget?
I'll tell you this, though.
When they started
no one will go through it again. You see the little rumblings of COVID. My first thought always is like, yeah, I don't care how bad it got. Society is not buying in again.
No, but when they released us
Sports.
back to society, I felt like there was a trend of unnecessary fights and hooligans just letting loose. But I made exception because I was like, well, people are just that pumped to get out again.
Cooped up.
They were cooped up for 2 years. They have no self-control. You know, they're partying too hard, and yeah, it's bound to happen. Hey, for 2 years we had to suffer, so yeah, people are drinking, having fun, getting into fights.
Sporting
but now
events?
it's been a minute. Now fans are getting killed. Again, everybody needs to relax.
Sporting events and planes. People just have lost all
Yeah.
self-control.
And I'm sorry, Spot, porta potties as well. By the way, that girl, she was on Barstool, and if I was her, I would not show my face. I would try to dip away so that no one could find me.
The girl that fought in the porta potty
The girl that fought
combines the two favorite
she was defending her mom. Do you know the story I speak of?
I don't.
It was a concert. It was a Morgan Wallen concert where the Pirates play, PNC in Pittsburgh. The girl...
Some girl with white boots goes to use a porta potty,
and there's a little tussle.
Another woman thinks that she cut her. So she goes to confront the girl in the white boots.
All hell breaks loose.
But then the girl in the white boots' mom is like, hey, back off. That's my daughter. So they get into a big fight while the daughter's in the porta potty.
The daughter grabs the girl and then shoves her in the porta potty and looks like she's trying to shove her head in the porta potty.
Oh, no.
And that starts slamming the door on her. Like, you know when like a
the
movie
daughter
or something where someone's slamming a door on
Yeah, the daughter is watching her mom get beat up and then goes buck wild on two girls and beats their asses.
Let me tell you something. They could clean that porta potty 800,000 times.
No.
And I still would be repulsed by the fact that your head went into that.
Does everyone else play the game I play?
Two girls, one porta potty.
Does everyone else play the porta potty game I play where it's like, can I hold my breath the whole time?
That's a good one. I've done that.
There's a porta potty by one of the softball fields I play at.
Oh,
and
yeah.
once in a blue moon, I'm like, why did I not pee before I left?
I always fear I'm going to be
Can I
on
use
some...
my elbow to lock it, unlock it? That's what I play.
No, yeah, it's a scary feeling.
I honestly
My
do.
toes.
I'm like, all right, here we go.
I always fear I'm going to be on some sort of Asian game show where they lift it up.
And then you're randomly in a conference room.
They lift it up and everyone's there laughing at it.
Yo, do we have the video of Super Bowl Miami right before, speaking of COVID? I feel bad looking back now, but our buddy who we used to work with at ESPN, Hercules Gomez, you played for Team USA, World Cup, soccer guy. Covino went into one of the porta potties, and we locked him in it.
Oh, my God, I forgot about that.
But only for like 5 minutes, but he's like, yo, guys, this ain't funny.
Yeah,
Oh.
But hey, back to what we were saying.
Porta potty.
People are unleashed and out of control. Get a grip and have some self-control, everybody.
Yeah, don't fight in porta potties. Don't punch other fans. And do not give death threats to kids playing collegiate sports or any kid for that matter. Be better than that. Don't be a complete loser. The end.
And I don't want to defend players like Henry Blackburn because it's debatable. But you could say you're in the heat of the moment, and it's football, dude.
And it's also, if it's a dirty hit, then you know what? A suspension, a slap on the wrist, a fine, something. Death threats? Come on. That's someone's kid, you know?
Exactly.
It's a
Be
college
better.
kid.
Let's bring classy back.